Hello guys, we're Group 9. As human beings become more aware of ecology and more environmentally conscious, the goal of achieving sustainable development has become more urgent than ever. Today, we are going to talk about the sustainability of digitalization in e-waste recycling. First, I will introduce the background. My teammates will explain the sustainability with the strengths, weakness, opportunities, and the theory analysis in e-waste recycling. Sustainability is most often associated with economic, social, and environment. It can be applied to various of aspects such as e-waste recycling, smart home, remote work, and so on. Among them, e-waste refers to all types of electronic equipment. Let's talk more about e-waste. We communicate differently today than we did just a few years ago. Information can be called up anywhere and anytime. Smartphones and tablets have become a indispensable part of our everyday lives. But today, technology progress also has its price. Newer smartphones, for example, are replacing older devices at a regular interval. Smartphones only make up a small part of global electronic waste. The Global E-Waste Monitor in 2020 stated that a total of 53 million tons of e-waste were generated worldwide in 2019, but only 70% of this was recycled, which means that 40 million tons of e-waste are either placed in a landfill, burned, or illegal treated in a substandard way. This results in a huge loss of valuable and critical raw materials from the supplement chain, which goes against the role of sustainability. We need to take e-waste recycle seriously. Next, my group will analyze each side of e-waste recycling.
In talking about the advantages of e-waste recycling, the first one is the environmental protection. Recycling the waste from electronic devices can save more spaces in the landfills, therefore reduces the environmental pollution caused by toxins. For example, Tokyo Olympic medals were made from 78,985 tons of recycled electronic devices, including cell phones. The recycled Olympic medals are part of a large sustainability effort at the Tokyo Games. Secondly, recycling e-waste can create more job opportunities for people involved in professional refurbishing and recycling, which is good for the economy. It can create new market and materials and components. Many unemployed people can get a job through the rise of the new industry. The third benefit is the business cost saving. Electronics contain a lot of components that can be reutilized sometimes without any processing, saving resources and energy required for initial manufacturing. A lot of big companies, like Apple, have their own recycling facility where they dispose of electronics for future reuse, and this is something that all big companies should strive for. This method helps the company to save production costs.
Ideally, the collection of electronic products is a sustainable process, but the current e-waste recycling industry still has many shortcomings. First of all, because the equipment and technology are not advanced enough, not all the e-waste can be recycled and reused. According to the statistics, in 2019, 82.6% of e-waste is probably not efficiently collected and managed in an environmentally sound manner. Most of the e-waste that cannot be processed is incinerated or landfill in the refuse dump. In addition to the waste of resources, incineration will also cause air pollution, and landfill may cause pollution of soil and groundwater. If those materials cannot be recycled, more mining and refining are needed, which will cause greater impact and pollution risks on the environment. Secondly, most of the recovery sites are in an unprotected state, as electronic recycling has not yet formed a complete industrial chain. In order to reduce costs, some businesses set recycling locations near residential areas, and some even occupy roads for business. And e-waste are also randomly placed on the room without professional equipment. This will not only cause damage to the nearby geographical environment, but also threaten the city's streetscape and corporate image. The last one is that the process of informal electronic recycling can cause harm to the body. The rudimentary and uncontrolled processing methods usually cause vulnerable groups, including women and children, to be exposed to large amounts of harmful chemicals. Especially in some undeveloped countries, e-waste has been in exposed space for a long time and muted. Workers have been living in the same space with waste for a long time without any protective facilities. Water, air, soil, dust, and food can all become medium for the transmission of toxic substances. However, the economic benefits brought by the huge demand for copper and other raw materials are too strong to be expected. So poor regions and countries will continue to informally handle e-waste recycling, at least in the short term.
So, e-waste is a vital resource we are only just starting to value in full. That is, there are several opportunities for e-waste recycling. Firstly, the value of e-waste. According to data in the new Global E-Waste report, if we look at material value of our spent devices, globally this amounts to $62.5 billion, 3 times more than the annual output of the world's silver mines. Therefore, compared to mining the Earth's crust for fresh minerals, the companies who harvest these valuable resources will generate sustainably less CO2 emissions. Secondly, extending the life of electronic products and reusing electrical components brings an even larger economic benefits, as working devices are essentially worth more than the materials they contain. The circular electronic system, one in which resources are not extracted, used, and wasted, but reused in countless ways. It creates decent, sustainable jobs and retains more value in the industry. Thirdly, the trend of e-waste recycling. Currently, 67 countries have enacted legislation to deal with the e-waste they generate. Apple, Google, Samsung, and many other brands have set ambitious targets for recycling and for the use of recycled and renewable materials. By all coming together, we can create a sustainable industry that generates less waste, and in which our devices are reused as well as recycled in novel ways. This also creates new forms of economic activities, education, and trade.
On the other hand, the recycling of e-waste is faced with increasing challenges. Firstly, the sustainable development of e-waste is also accompanied by crime. According to the article named "The EU Crackdown on E-Waste Crime" in WCO News, seeing that 750,000 tons of valuable parts didn't make it to the official collection points in 2012. The recycling of e-waste creates lots of new opportunities, but due to the generation of profits, there are some people who wish to take part in and share a piece of it in illegal ways. Yet, there are serious gaps in the market's oversight. Secondly, the security and the privacy of information cannot be guaranteed. Some of the old electronic devices contain the information of the end users. The information leakage will happen if the devices are not handled properly. Most people are not aware of how hard it is to erase the data remaining in the device. And once hacker picks, all your information will be stolen, which means that your property will be threatened. Thirdly, low recycling ratio of the e-waste. Only 70.4% of e-waste could be recycled in 2019, as the report said. With the increasing amount of e-waste, if this issue could not be addressed in time, the health of human beings will be impacted, causing a serious threat to the environment. Improving the recycling ratio of e-waste is significant and urgent and should be paid attention to. And this is the reference list. Thank you for listening, and you can ask any questions if you have.